Can't always switch the camera. Alright. 32% battery. Let's hang out for a minute too. Okay, hey guys, we're going to be talking here with Jeremy Deeter. As soon as he gets in the room, I will bring him on camera.
What should the human body temperature be?
To be talking about his awesome idea, which I think will be great for all of us. Let me just drop another tag for him. One moment, guys. Just waiting for Jeremy to get here. Turn those off. Okay. So, we're going to be talking a bit about the Patriot Concords, which is best explained by him. I talked a bit about it a little bit with Kendra last night. Hopefully, he will be here shortly, and I should be able to bring him on. Hey, Christy. We're just waiting on Jeremy to get in here, and we're going to bring him on camera and talk about these Concords, because I really want to make sure I get it right when talking about it. Maybe if I do it this way. All right. Jeremy, where are you, buddy? Did you get the invite? He has basically this great idea, which is called the Concords, which is the hope to basically get a bunch of these groups together in one place and start to actually put together some sort of a formal grievance. He's really going to be the best person to speak on it. I'm having a bit of technical difficulties getting him in here right now. He's been doing a lot of good work trying to just share this idea and get some input on it. For some reason, though, like it looks like he's not in here still. There we go. I think he's checking now. Tag him one more time. Let's see if that gets him in here. Okay, sorry. There we go. There we go. Here he is.
Hello.
Hey, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I've read a bit and watched your videos, hoping to essentially get the Concords explained to some more people. And I'm under the understanding that was basically started with your idea. I've had very similar ideas. Why don't we jump right in?
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Um, Let me click around for a second and share this out so
Great.
everybody knows we're live. There we go. Yeah, I live in Ohio and we have a law that goes into effect March 28th that is going to strip 1 million people of most of their Second Amendment rights to bear arms, all in one fell swoop. And they said it was a legislative mistake, and it was a provision
Figure.
put in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And so, put in this position, I started to think about the position that we're really in, that we're going to go down there when everybody's a felon and carry guns that are now illegal, making everyone a felon. And if we're going to do that, there is a chance that things could go south. And if that happens, uh sorry about that. When I get some messages, it'll
Oh yeah.
take me away. I don't know why.
It does
um
that to me too.
so what's that?
It does that to me too sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not all messages, man. It's, I don't know. uh so yeah, that was definitely one of the big motivators to the Patriot Concords. And then I've been in activism since 2008, and you're always thinking about what is going to bring people together.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. And you're always thinking about unity. You're always thinking about what's going to bring people together. What's going to bring people together, what's going to unify folks, and what's going to be a solid idea. And I'm aware of the folks that want to do the convention estates, the Liberty Restoration Committee. There's a lot of different organizations out there that are devoted to this very concept. So to present an idea is you're singing to the choir. Is kind of how I felt. This is something that all of us think about, and it's something that all of us talk about. So it's you don't want to beat a dead horse. How do you have a new, fresh idea, or an idea that works, that people that are a heck of a lot smarter than I am haven't already come up with? You know what I mean? I didn't graduate high school, man. You know what I mean? I had a different education. So so I think all of these years of dedicating to that, my subconscious must have been working on it, but I think God came through, and it's something the Ohioans can leave to everybody else, if nothing else. It's self-governing, it's decentralized, it's based around how many people believe in it, and how many people take part in it. So it's completely up to everybody. It isn't trying to alter the United States Constitution, like the Convention of States want to redo things. That's not it. It's first of all, it satisfies the curiosity
Yeah,
of knowing how many of us are there out there that feel
right.
and think and believe the same way. How many of us out there are patriots, and it satisfies that curiosity. Uh, More than that, it gives everybody a cohesive structure that is absolutely workable, if the people choose to do it. I mean, that's all that it takes is, okay, I'll be one. And then it benefits from the structure that's already in place with patriot groups and militias and things like that. And then you use them and their membership to then bring more people in. You use that as a selling point. So if total your state has with militias and patriot groups, say 10,000 people, and then you go into the VFWs and you go into the AMVETs and you go into the retirement homes and you say, well, we already have 10,000 people that have signed. People like to get on with something that's established. They like to get on board with something that's already developed. And we absolutely should. It's appropriate to build the momentum off of the backs of the patriots. That's what they're there for. That's their assigned position. And so everything kind of helps out the next thing like that. So those are the benefits, is that it promotes cohesiveness. It's decentralized. It works if people believe in it. And we don't have to rely on anybody. Your name doesn't go on a national list. Your name goes to one guy who is your local leader, who either lives in your town or the closest place that we can find a patriot group or militia or whatever to you. And it doesn't go beyond that person. Beyond that, all they're going to do is report a number. They're just going to report, we have 200 people or we have 2,000 people or whatever it is. And they'll have a number that is the number of people that signed it that's in their group, and the number of people that signed it that's independent, that they want to sign the Concord, but they're not a part of that militia or Oath Keepers or whatever it is. If you're an Oath Keeper or a Patriot or a militia, the guy who's in charge of your militia or Patriot group already knows your name. So you don't have to worry about a privacy issue there. It doesn't go beyond that person. And so another benefit is the security of it being proprietary information, it being private information that you're just going to give to a local source. So that's nice, because they're just going to report the number. And then you'll have somebody that reports the state number, and all of the groups are responsible for gathering that information. That's what promotes the cohesion between the different groups, is keeping their lists updated. And then it also promotes like a friendly rivalry or a friendly competition between the groups, and then between the states. Every state's going to want to get as many patriots or people signed on as they can. And then you have representatives that are set up only to represent and not to decide. And that's really nice, because we don't have that right now. And then that ensures everybody, except for the representative, it ensures that everybody gets a chance to have say in what happens. What if we satisfy our national curiosity to see how many of us there are that are like-minded, because we'll have a national total without anybody ever leaving their living rooms. And we'll also have a National Patriot Concord with a complete list of grievances and a complete list of remedies that is going to be taken to the summit, and it won't be changed. It won't be any different from the people at the summit discussing it versus what everybody's seeing at home. It's completely 100% transparent. So that's nice.
Into that.
You know what I'm saying? And then we do the summit on live stream, bro. You keep it on live stream. Everybody discusses it out in the open. And then we see how many of us there are. We see what our grievances are. And we see how there's all of these similarities between the states, right? How many states are going to complain?
Right.
What's that?
I said that's exactly what I've been finding, is that everyone seems to actually have a lot of things in common, at least for the grievances.
Yeah. And so, all of these different states that are going to complain about the Second Amendment being infringed, all of these states that are going to complain about immigration not being solved and not making sense, all of these states that are going to complain about our lack of food quality, our lack of water quality, all of this, that we can put in our hands, right? That we can discuss. then that national list also is a weapon that we can use to beat politicians over the heads with and say, look, dude, this is a national public list. You have every reason to be discussing this right now. You have every reason to have an honest, true, serious dialogue. And I bet we don't see that. I bet we do not see that, even though it'll be publicized for everyone. And it'll be sent to senators' offices and governors' offices. And, like South Dakota is very, very well aware of the presence of the Concord right now. Their
Nice.
governor and all those people.
Well, that's good. I think it sounds like a great idea. That's how I've even seen it within the Yellow Vest. There's so many state groups, then national groups, then global groups. That was always, what's the best way where you have 3 or 4 people that agree all on, say, even just the same grievances, but not the solution. Like, there has to be some end point where all of these groups get down at a table and say, all right, well, what can we do as the people to, have a solution that we're all okay with, and until then, we're still focused on the problem. And I think this Concord idea is great because that's seeing it out to the end with a plan. That's not leaving like, well, what do we do after this? Or, it's starting to answer questions. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people, in America that might just be not active because questions haven't been answered. Like,
Yeah.
how do we make this happen? And, it seems like you've put a lot of thought into that. Now,
Well,
do you have, what are you saying?
I wish that I could say again. I think that any work that I was putting into it was happening in the subconscious because seriously, there was about 3, 4 things going on around me that I was paying attention to while I typed the Concords, man. I had like the TV going. I was talking to Lisa. I was talking to Lamaya. Like I was answering messages on here, and I'm just sitting there typing it up, dude. It was coming out of my head, and I didn't have a choice. It was just gonna happen. You know what I mean? That's why I feel blessed by it because it was like something came over me and was like, no, 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 these are the words. And then later that night, when I went back and read it, I was like, who typed that? Like, what is that? Where'd that come from? You know what I
Right.
mean? It was weird because it was just something that just poured out of my head, man. I would like to take credit, like, I did a lot of research on this and this, and this is what gave me structure and all this. I wish I could do that, but truth be told, it just came pouring out of my head.
I feel you though. That happens all too often for me sometimes too. It's just so much going on, and I think some kind of a planned structure is good. There seems like there's a lot of motivation out there, a lot of energy, and you're right. I think everybody generally can share in the idea that we all want things to be better for everyone. Most I believe that like anyone who's out there boots on the ground doesn't just care about themselves. Like they're beyond that. Like, yeah, how many people are there? There's there's all these questions, and I love that you kind of looked at it that way. Like there's all these questions we have that we can't answer. So how do we answer these questions for ourselves? And I think this is great. Like it's just bridging more gaps that don't need to be there. They almost can't be there. These divides between people, they just keep us fighting each other. Uh, we
Yeah.
need to be we need to be focused on the right things.
There's a really there's a lot of appeal to the Concords because it answers all of the aforementioned. But let's say that we have the summit, and at the summit we decide that in fact we do want a convention of states, and that's what the nation's patriots vote on. Well, then we've already got to jump on it because there's people that have been trying to do it for a long time. Let's say we want to go in the direction of the Liberty Restoration Committee, that they've got it right. Then that's what we can do. But the summit gives us the opportunity to be able to make those decisions and do so in a clear, concise, and truly unified manner. It's in a way that makes sense, and it respects the founding of the nation. It isn't one of these legislative political methodologies that while we're over here saying we're doing a good thing, we're raping you over here. And it doesn't open the door for people to be able to come in and deceive us easily. What we're doing is on the surface. It's right in front of you. And it only takes place and it only happens if you want it to. You know, let's say you're in I don't know, you're in a state that doesn't have many people that are into it. You know, they're not as into it as people in other states. It doesn't matter because the only people we're paying attention to are the people that are the members of the Patriot Concords. You know, it's only going to be the people that are a part of something like this that are going to be the ones that stand up to do anything about it. You know, it's only going to be the people that have put themselves in those positions anyway, just like it was for the inception of the nation or any other idea that brought people together. It eliminates a lot of the problems because instead of giving us direction towards one idea that says, you know, Constitutional Convention or, you know, Convention of the States or whatever it is, this gives us direction that by the time by the time we make that decision, we know that this is a consensus view of the nation's patriots, that it was discussed widely and it was discussed on since everyone's going to have the same final list of grievances and remedies and we're going there to discuss remedies, because of that, we are already going to be having a national patriot discussion about that list of remedies anyway. So everyone that's going to the summit and all of the states are going to want to send their most persuasive speaker, because you're going to be talking on the grievances and remedies that are on the national list and the ones that represent your state specifically. So you're going to want to send the most persuasive speaker you have to really push forward your state, what your state voted for the most, you know, but they don't get to decide anything. Everybody's vote counts as one. And just the exact same structure that we set it up with is the exact same structure we'll use to vote. And that makes it very simple. So you're in a militia, you tell your militia leader your vote, or whoever it is that your militia leader appointed to be the recorder for that. And that recorder gives it to the leader. That militia leader reports it to the state leader. The state leader reports it to the person that's representing that state at the summit. And they're going to be able to give a state total at that point, because all militias and all patriot groups are posting their numbers for the state rep. That state rep is going to be able to total all of those numbers and know who has given a total and who hasn't.
So basically,
and they're going to see,
So really, the end goal would be like a movement to just try and get as many people in this chain of like, we're voting on this remedy. What do you vote? And then you have like the actual people's total of, do we want to do this or not do it?
Yeah. Yeah. And if at any time, like Swedish swarm theory, say half of the nation's patriots vote for an idea, that half of the nation's patriots is still welcome to further the agenda of that idea. At no time do they have to stop doing that. You know, I mean, we are free, and we are free to leave this Concord at any time with no questions asked, because we are free. And just as much as we're able to join at any time, you know, so this has everything to do with our own cognition. This has everything to do with doing it on our own accord. A Concord is no more than just an agreement. You know, it's an agreement, and this agreement is between you and your nation. It's between you and the land. It's between you and the people that live in it, whether they like you or not, whether they would give you the time of day or not. It doesn't matter. This is so that you and everyone in your nation can live at a standard that you create for yourselves. You have the right to make your own mistakes just as much as you have the right to have your own successes. You know, We have a right to these
Amen.
things. We should be able to do these things, and it should be in our hands. We're supposed to be free. And everybody, whether they're in Europe, whether they're in Canada, whether they're in Australia, whether they're American, everybody in the world, you're seeing this populist movement. And now the Americans are starting to get a foothold to freedom with direction and guidance and something that forces cohesion and something that is very concise and very simple, that all of us can do. It just comes down to, do we want to? It's our choice. Do you want to? How do you want to be remembered? What is it that you're going to give the people you love when you die? You're not going to live forever. You're not going to be here forever. You are going to die. And there will be people here that you love when you go. So what are you leaving them? How is it you're going to leave this place? How will you be remembered? Because it is your choice. We get caught up in all of the will you message Paige and just let her know that I'm live? And the messages are interrupting. I don't know why. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Keeping people away from each other, busy with jobs and things like this, is a way to keep us away from a natural understanding of ourselves. If you rob us fundamentally of a natural understanding of ourselves and rob us of that essential part of our identity, then you weaken us, and you weaken us greatly. Now, it will not be easy to regain that part of our identity. But just as much as these are natural rights, people practice unnatural things like slavery, economic debt slavery, all the time on each other, all of the time. And the reasons vary, but because they are as vigilant as waterfalls, so must we be. And if we're not constantly fighting for freedom, it will be taken. If we don't understand and communicate the virtues and the values of what it is to live in a constitutional republic and how it is how is it. Sorry. And how is it that we can get there and get to that point? If we do not communicate those things, then we're wasting our time. A lot of people get caught up in racism. They get caught up in sexism, especially now. They're talking about all of these different ways to separate us, making it where we have all these good ways to separate. And all of these are methods that are used against us. You have to use a multifaceted attack against us to keep us away from a natural understanding of ourselves and what it is we are when we're together, when we're unified. And so these methods have been well financed. They are well practiced, and people are really good at making us be able to harm ourselves and each other. And so they want you to be caught up in racism and things, and it's a way to try to hold people accountable to the past. And all of the time you see this happen, all of the time. I do not know how to be accountable for the past. I don't know how to be accountable for what people did in the past. I don't know how to be accountable for what another man does today, right now. I don't know how to be accountable for what other groups of people do today, right now. I'm trying to be held accountable to myself. I'm trying to be held accountable to my family. I'm trying to be held accountable to the people that love me. And that's what's important to me.
Right.
So, for all those people that want to divide in those ways, I say, tell people to focus on now. What are we going to be remembered for? What are you going to be remembered for? What am I going to be remembered for? because that's real. If you think for a second that we don't lose this nation to ridiculous socialism, and that 2 generations from now they're going to hear about the freedoms that we had, and they're going to be so freaking mad at us because they're only going to know us as the generation that squandered the greatest country you could ever inherit by birthright. That's absolutely how they will view us. Even if we lose, even if we stand and we fall, I still want to be remembered that way. I still want to be remembered that way.
I feel you. Yeah, that's how I look at it. It's even just like, what is the future gonna be? Yeah, I'm finding one person can really do a hell of a lot more than I ever really thought, and just by like, talking to people, not even talking, but listening is the other thing that's equally as important. Is that, like, I think a lot of people are just frustrated by representatives that don't listen. Like, nobody really, at least I don't feel like anybody in the government's really working for the people or the planet, or the animals that are dying off. And all of that's got to change. Like, we're supposed to have a say in things. And you know I like this idea in France of, like, the RIC. We have, like, the push here for, like, the National Citizens Initiative for Democracy, and they're all things that just keep coming back to that same question. How does everyone get their voice heard? And I think this is a great start right now. Just the way I kind of envisioned it or viewed it is like, there's all these groups, and we just welcome all the groups, and like, get everybody involved on, like, all right, well, let's figure out what all the problems are, and then, like, let's start talking solutions. Like,
Yeah.
if we all should just, like, solve our own problems, because I'm confident we can do it.
Yeah, so all of these groups, it doesn't matter who you are, you have every reason to push the Patriot Concords, because then your idea as a remedy becomes front and center in front of the nation. And if it's good and it has merit, then it'll stand up and hold water, and that's what everyone will vote for. If it's a constitutional convention, if it's, it doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
So if you're in a group and you push that kind of idea, the Patriot Concords will help you to get there with a national consensus. That way we see how many of us there are, and we see what it is that everyone believes. Maybe we have a summit and decide there's not enough of us, we can't do anything. Maybe we have a summit and we say, well, let's create a society within a society, and stop paying the king's tax. Maybe we have a summit and we say, let's create a new political party. Excuse me. Maybe we have a summit and we say, let's declare our independence. It could be anything and everything in between what I've said, as long as it's our idea, as long as it's we know who we are. We have the national identity of knowing how many of us there are, and it's our consensus. It's what we believe in via our participation. Because if it's an idea you don't believe in, you're not going to vote for it. And it doesn't
Right.
matter how many people do. Those people that voted for it are more than welcome to go ahead and do that. And if they want you to join their cause, they're going to have to petition and campaign you to do so. They're going to have to try to recruit you to getting you to believing that their idea is good. You know, it strips everybody down to the honesty of their message and the effectiveness, and it gives everybody else the opportunity. If you're not presenting ideas, then it gives everybody the opportunity to have a voice concerning what's done, and you always decide your level of participation. You know,
Right.
so I think it's fair, it's free. It gives us all an equal opportunity to represent ourselves and know what the nation wants, and it satisfies the national curiosity of to all of us of how many people are like-minded, that just simply feel like not, nothing extreme, nothing crazy, just that we we've lost the nation, that the Constitution is dead, that if it were in the hands of the people who were held to the standard of the 9 to 5 rat race living like it's supposed to be, then this country would be picked up real quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have people that are paying those kind of dues in those kind of positions, you're going to see things change quickly, and it's just getting to an honest living, getting to honest representation. It's not too much to ask for and fight for and stand for and speak about and believe in the constitutional republic that was sold to us as an idea that we've never actually seen in practice. If you're alive today, you've never actually seen free open market capitalism. You've heard a lot of people complain about it, but how the hell would any of us know? We've never actually seen it. You hear people complain about a constitutional republic, or you hear them complain about a democracy. Our voting system is democratic, but our governance is supposed to be a constitutional republic. And we have too many people who do not know and do not understand the virtues and values of their own nation, the one they live in, the one they're raising their children in. And so many things that need to change, that don't take a genius to fix, that could be changed, that we have every right to address ourselves. We have every right as free people to come together and decide what it is that we believe for ourselves. We absolutely reserve that right.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of, have you explain that. I'm pretty confident I understand, but I think it'd be good to get more people aware of what this is. We have some groups, I think, forming for that, so we can start finding out who else is out there, and start making these lists. So when you start now, you talk about a summit. How do we go from essentially, putting the idea out there, making these groups for the Concord, and getting to the summit?
Love the question. I really appreciate it. And you might be psychic, because I was getting ready to address that very thing. So here's the idea. Here's the concept from beginning to end. Hopefully very simply, very concisely. So in order to achieve all of the things that I've talked about, the structure goes like this. We have already patriot groups, militias, oath keepers, all these different organizations. And these are the people that have said, I am charged with being a person that will defend this nation, that will protect this nation, that will stand for this nation. And so you go to them first, and let's say the Concord itself is an agreement to first be a member of the Concord, stating that you are those things. You are a patriot. That if you're an able-bodied male between certain ages, I just heard it's 14 to 66, I think, are the ages I heard. So I'm not sure what it is. I'll say 18 to 66. Able-bodied males, then, and you're born, you're here, you're an American, then as it's written, you are a member of the militia. So you are charged with the defense of this land. And since that's the case, if you've taken up those reins as a patriot or whatnot, then the Concords basically reiterate that position, that you are somebody that is a patriot, that you will be somebody who is counted as a patriot, that you also see and agree that the nation is heading in a direction that is anti-constitutional republic, that we've lost too many constitutional rights already, and we stand to lose more. So instead of continually losing rights without representation, we find our foothold in those patriot groups, and if they sign the Concords, then we have a few things already in motion at that point. We are able to look at those numbers, right? Let's say just right now, for example, there's three groups: the Ohio Minutemen, the Ohio 3%, and the Ohio Lightfoot Militia.
Yeah.
And uh, the first one report, they have for their page, most of them have a .org or a .com, and if not, they have social media pages and things like that. And what they'll do is they'll say we have 175 members signed to the Patriot Concords. Well, then the second group, say the Oath Keepers, will see that, and they'll say, well, we have 190 people signed. They'll post, we have 190 members signed to the Patriot Concords. Well, then the third group will come along and say, we have 215 signed to the Concords. And it promotes this friendly competition between them for them to go out and show people and tell people about the Patriot Concords. That way they can get more numbers, and this gives the militia another function and another purpose, and the patriot groups and whatever patriotic groups are going to take part in this. So those groups all report their numbers. They all post their numbers, and then they're going to look at each other's numbers, and that promotes communication between them. Now, these groups already know about each other existing in the states. The Ohio 3% knows about the existence of the Ohio Minutemen, and they all know about the existence of the Ohio Lightfoot. So they all know about each other. So now they see, and they the one leader contacts the leader of the other one and says, hey, check that out. And says, hey, check this out. I saw you guys have 200 posted. We've got 300 posted. So I'm going to update my state number to 500. And then they both know about the third group. So they both updated that number. They contact that third group, and they've got 200. So now they all have 700 for the state number, and then they all have their individual group numbers. And then within their individual group numbers, you have, this is how many members we have that signed it, and this is how many people that are independent that aren't part of our group that we went out and talked to and said that they're a part of it as well. So that patriot group leader, Oath Keeper leader, militia leader, whoever they are, they're going to report, along with everybody else, their state number. Then all of those state numbers are going to be posted, and they're going to be posted on every state's page. They're going to see that the Pennsylvania Minutemen Militia also have a group number posted and also have a state number posted. So now you can go to all of these different groups and you can see, okay, well, Pennsylvania's got this as their state number. Ohio's got this as their state number. Illinois has this as their state number. And now you can get a national total. Well, what else happens there is you have all of these state leaders and everybody reporting the national number. And if we get the second part of the Concords that you're signing to says that if we get 3%, the equivalent to 3%, or if we exceed that in the number of patriots that we have nationally, then we agree to a national summit. So then all of the states immediately know that they have to be able to pick a state rep. That every state is now charged with a state rep. And if we're trying to do something on a national scale, then doing something on a state scale is really good practice, because you're going to have folks that don't have faith in our ability to do that. But think about what they're actually saying. If they let the cynical side get a hold of them, they'll say, yeah, right, come up with a state leader. Well, then how do you think you're going to be able to affect an entire nation? How do you think you're going to be able to change an entire nation? So, and the structure ends up being really simple. So let's say you're in one of these groups, militia, patriot group, oath keepers, whatever. And now we know that we have 3% of the national population, and there's going to be a summit, and each state needs to get their act together, get their ducks in a row. So every single person now knows that a state leader needs to be nominated and elected for the state. The group leaders, the patriot leaders and the militia leaders and the oath keeper leaders are all going to be responsible for tallying those votes. There's a good chance that those people are going to be nominated to run for that state leader position. So you have a date that says, throw up your nominations at this point, by this date. And then everybody has, all the people they're nominating. And then you set dates for them to each do a video stating what, why people should vote for them or why it is they think they'd be good for the state leader, the state rep position. And because they're going to represent the entire state, but they won't decide for it. And so then everybody, you just narrow the field until you get down to the last few people, and then you do a final vote, and then that person's going to represent your state. So all state leaders send their numbers to that state rep. So now when we actually have all of the resources together for the for the national summit, all of the state reps that are going to be going will have all of the numbers from their state, and all of the grievances and remedies work the exact same way. So you're in a militia, you're going to get together, you're going to have a meeting, you're going to hold a conference, and everyone's going to discuss what are our grievances and what are our remedies for our state. You're going to take that to your militia leader or patriot leader or oath keeper leader, or if you're an independent, whatever it is. They're going to send that. It goes from the leader to the state rep. Then the state rep is going to take all of those leaders' different remedies and grievances and form a small committee to put them all together. And this is going to, it's going to take some meetings, a few meetings and coordinating online, things like that. And but it's not impossible. It's actually, pretty simple to do these days, obviously. So you have the state rep, and by the time you have a state rep that's ready to go to the summit, they have your state total, how many people it is. They don't need a list of names. All they need is the number. So here's our number. Here's how many people are in groups. Here's how many people are independent. And here's our list of grievances and remedies. And all of those state leaders, I'm sorry, I apologize, I jumped ahead. So all of those state leaders will then submit, before the summit, will then submit all of those to one source, one page online. And the first list that everybody is going to have is a national list of every single state's grievances and remedies. That'll be the first national list. So everybody who wants it will have a complete list of every single state's grievances and remedies. Then everybody is free to put together all of the remedies, all of the redundancies. So if you have 37 states with Second Amendment grievances, then you put down the Second Amendment wording and all of the states' initials that pertain to the Second Amendment grievance. And you take out all the redundancies. So that's the first list that'll go up, and that's the national list. But then everybody having access to the national list of all of the state's grievances, each state rep will form a committee to make that a concise list, because there's going to be a lot of similar grievances and a lot of similar remedies, and we need all of those put together. That'll be the second national list that everybody will also have their hands on, and that'll be an agreed upon list that everyone will have their hands on, and that'll be taken to the summit. Sovereign. No.
Sit down. Sit.
My dog looks exactly like yours, by the way. Um,
Hey,
Sovereign, no.
The wolf dog.
Come here, buddy. Come here. Lay down.
does he have the same?
Yeah, buddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
cute thing.
So everyone takes to the national summit the same national list that is concise. So everyone has the exact same list that's going to be discussed at the national summit. So everyone can start the discussion before the summit ever takes place. That way the state reps know exactly what it is the people in their state want them to say. That would be the time for everybody to contact their state rep that they've created and say, hey, discuss this, discuss this, discuss this, and they can take all of those talking points to the summit. And this was just an example list. The very first day, or maybe 2 or 3, whatever, we discussed all of the remedies. We can list we can talk about the grievances just to list them if we want, but we're there to discuss the remedies. So we're going to go through the remedies, we're going to discuss them, and then the state rep is going to get on live stream back to the people in his state and discuss everything, that went on at the summit that everybody's already seen, but give it the full, it'll be their responsibility to give it the full breakdown and say, okay, we're going over these remedies. Who wants these? Who doesn't? And we'll go through the list that way. Everything that gets voted up stays up. Everything that gets voted down goes away. And everything that goes up, same thing that we did before, until we get it concise, until we go all the way to the last few things of remedies and see what it is that the nation decides that we want to do. Man, I hope that I was able to explain that clearly.
No,
I really, really tried.
No, I think that was really good. So thank you for that. I think that's a really great idea, and awareness is definitely needed. Looks like there's a bunch of people already getting on the page already. I think that'll be a great way to move forward. I'm sure they've probably, even within that, even now, just having more attention raised to the idea, even if people, maybe we want 2 reps per state or 3 or something, I don't know. But I think it'll be good to start having discussions about just doing something, get focused on the solutions. That's what I've found. There's so many people that have different solutions to things, but we're not there's no structure to actually get people together on a majority vote on let's do this. We have the power.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a national shared sense of urgency, and also a national shared sense of hopelessness, where it's like, I really feel like something needs to be done, but there isn't any direction for anything to do. I know stuff needs to be done, but I don't know how to do it. I know stuff needs to be done, but I don't know where to do it, or when to do it, or who to do it with, or how many of us there are, or can we get together, all of this. And the Patriot Concords answer each and every one of those things. And first of all, they ask for everybody to put some work into it. And you're asking an overstressed, overburdened, underappreciated, underpaid population to put work into something else, where you actually have to go and talk to your countrymen and women, your family members, your friends, and say, hey, do you think this nation's heading in a bad direction? Where do you think that, it's heading in a direction that is good for us? And really have uncomfortable conversations with people that are really uncomfortable already.
Right.
So that's, so I'm asking people to go really far outside of their comfort zones and inconvenience themselves and other people. Then, if there's enough of us, the Concords are asking people to come together in a really blatant and open way to possibly put themselves in harm's way, if they so choose. So it's a hell of a thing to ask of people. And you're right, it's gaining a head of steam, so overnight the numbers doubled on the page, and that's really exciting. And again, it's an idea that doesn't mean a damn thing unless the people that are aware of it believe in it.
Right.
But if you do choose to breathe life into this could be something not just worth being remembered for, but something that could bless you in your own lifetime. It may be
Right.
scary, and it may seem risky, and you may feel apprehensive, and all you probably should. But more than that, more than being fear driven, I mean, if you want to be fear driven, be fearful of all of the things that we could be looking at in the near future. If that's where you're at. But I say don't be fear driven. I say anticipate unity, because there's so many people that feel like you do. There's so many people that believe like you do. And all of our mouths have been shut by having to work a 9 to 5. All of our mouths have been shut by having to pay bills. All of our mouths
Right.
have been shut continuously by not just economic circumstance, but when you're told you can't look at people in rush hour traffic next to you because you could be shot in the face. And that every time you walk into a convenience store, you have to be leery of people, because the place is going to be robbed. And these are lies. I speak against that narrative. I say that's not true. I say that mostly we are good people. This nation is filled, and most nations are filled with highly generous, decent folks that want to be happy and live a normal life.
That definitely.
Yeah, we don't have to believe in that narrative that's being sold. It's garbage. It's been sold for a long time. It's weak, and people can continue to believe in it if they want, but they see where it's getting us. Why not be curious about an alternative at the very least? And then if you don't like what you read, get the hell away from it and don't pay it any more attention ever again. If you like what you read and you stay curious about it, stick around. See if you want to sign the freaking thing. See if you want to be part of something that's always going to be bigger than yourself. And it'll you know what? It's only going to be as big, though, in total as the American people want it to be. And that's what I love about it, is that it's freaking honest. People that like it and know what it is on face value and see it for what it is, they sign immediately. They're like, hell yeah, put my name on there.
Right.
For the rest of the folks, we don't need them anyway, because they're not folks that understand what they've lost here. They're not folks that understand what it is they stand to lose still. They're not folks that are ready to stand. And when they are, we'll be here for them. We'll have a place for them to be. We'll have a place for them to go. And they'll always be more than welcome to stand with us. But until they understand what it is that we see plainly for our eyes,
Right.
we don't need them. We don't need them, and we don't want them. We need them to stay home and research. We need them to do what they're doing, and get back with us when they understand what we understand, because we can't use them otherwise. And the founding of this country did the exact same thing. They didn't use all the loyalists and the Tories. It was a very small percentage of street rats and thugs and gangsters out of Boston that started most of this.
Right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything we missed as far as I think we covered it all?
I don't know. I hope we covered it all. If there's anything I missed to the folks listening, feel free to hit me up afterwards. My social media accounts are nuts, so I suck at getting in touch with people quickly. And I apologize for that. I do try. So I don't know. I'll try to I'll try to be as fast as I can. You can get on the Concord page and ask questions there too, I believe. If you are curious about the event here, March 28th, it is We Will Not Comply March 28th rally. Check that out. Check us out. And I just appreciate everybody listening, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I haven't said this publicly yet, but I presented the Concords when I did as an incomplete idea because I was really insecure about it, and I was hoping that people wouldn't like it, and then I could just forget about it and move on. Because it's a really vulnerable thing to do. It's a ballsy thing to present something like that in a nation that has so many good ideas as to how to get the nation back, and then
Yeah.
people realize like this is a structure for their idea to work, and it isn't until they realize that they're on board. Once they realize this is actually a way, if I'm a yellow vester, if I'm a Liberty Restoration Committee person, whatever it is, this is a way to make my idea possibly work, or just see if it has any merits, see if it's what the American patriots want, and see where we're at on things. So I appreciate the time tonight, bro. I really, really do. I appreciate the platform, and I appreciate the hard work that you do and helping with the project and with the event and all the love you've given to us here, man.
Hell yeah, man. Same to you. And yeah, I guess we'll talk soon then.
All right, cool, brother. Be easy, man. Everybody else have a good night, you guys.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone.